tonight, coming together in grief. A community mourns the 6 people, including 4 children, killed in Ottawa.
The quiet suburban community, and you never want to expect things like this to happen here.
We'll take you to a community vigil. Plus,
it's a big loss for this year.
Why this summer's festival and theatre season right across Ontario could be in trouble, with some already cancelled, others warning of significant cuts. And
when you combine the two together, there are some additional challenges for sure.
Tips ahead of daylight saving time, especially for those about to begin a month of fasting for Ramadan. We'll have those stories for you in a moment, but we're starting with some breaking news this hour. This is a live look from Front and Bay near Union Station in downtown Toronto. Police were called there for reports of a stabbing and a social post saying it was a man in his 20s taken to hospital in life-threatening condition. We're also hearing just a brief description of a possible suspect at this time. Police saying a man wearing a dark jacket with curly hair. There is still much more to come on this developing story. We'll bring you the latest on our website as we learn more details. Turning now to our top story, just steps away from where 6 people were brutally killed in their home, devastated neighbors and community members in Ottawa came together at a vigil. Nicole Williams takes us there, where people are still expressing shock and trying to understand how something like this could happen.
A memorial overflowing with stuffed animals, flowers, notes, and candles defiantly burning in the wind and rain.
I just want to say thank you for being here.
More than 100 people gathered at this park in Ottawa's South End to say goodbye to those gone far too soon. A 35-year-old mother from Sri Lanka and her 4 young children, all between 7 years and just 2 months old.
It is sad. It's very, very unfortunate. This Canada is a great country, and as a Canadian, we have to come together and we have to help each other.
The family was among the 6 people killed in a mass stabbing at this townhouse Wednesday night. The other victim, 40-year-old Gamini Amarakon, also from Sri Lanka.
An event like this sort of shatters what you think of your community, and it's not going to be easy to sort of recover from that.
It's left a deep scar for people here and for all of Ottawa, with police describing it as one of the city's worst mass killings in recent history.
I want the community to know that that they're supported. I want the families to know that all the people of Ottawa are with them and are grieving with them and are feeling great sympathy for them.
And even further in Sri Lanka, people are coming to grips with the tragedy thousands of miles away.
It's not only a tragedy, it's something, huge disaster back home because everybody is in shock.
Husband and father Danishka Wickramasinghe is the only survivor of the attack. He was badly injured and is still in hospital, but is improving.
He sees the strength, he sees that people are behind him, and so I think, a gathering like this only, make him stronger.
The investigation still ongoing. Police say with this many victims, it's going to take time.
Our forensic team is still working very hard, and they'll be there again for a couple more days. I spoke to them yesterday. They're doing an incredible job.
After a few hours, the crowd thinned out, but this memorial remains as a reminder of who was lost and the hope of keeping their memory alive. Nicole Williams, CBC News, Ottawa.
Police in Waterloo are now leading the investigation of a body found last week at a waste management facility in Etobicoke. You may remember this story from last weekend. Toronto police believe the body was taken to the facility in a waste management truck. Officers in Waterloo have now taken over, saying it is connected to a previous case in the region. We still don't know who the person is, but police say they are not treating the incident as a homicide and say there is no threat to the public. Some big relief tonight for a struggling industry. The federal government plans to extend a cap on a tax for beer, booze, and wine. As Anam Khan shows us, there's also extra support for local craft brewers.
Some small brewers are toasting today's news.
I feel very happy. I think every little bit helps.
That help comes from the federal government, today extending a cap on the annual tax hike on beer, booze, and wine for another 2 years.
In recent years, though, we've seen that the cost of key ingredients for beer, like hops, like that high quality malting barley, are rising due to the impact of global inflation, and that's been a real challenge for brewers in Canada.
The tax was set to increase on April 1st by 4.7%, tied to inflation. Now it's capped at 2%. Plus, there's extra support for small craft brewers, who Freeland says are an important part of the economy.
Specifically, we are reducing the excise duty rates on beer by 50% for the first 15,000 hectoliters of beer brewed in Canada.
This means a typical craft brewery will save nearly $87,000 in the next tax season. For small business owners like Aaron Protho, it's a huge relief. He owns the Mascot Brewery in Etobicoke, one of the few black-owned breweries in Canada.
There's a lot of pressure on craft breweries to increase prices, and you can price yourself out of the market with that. So I think when you're looking at a slim margin game, 2% here and there really makes a big difference.
The news from the feds comes after the province put a stop to a similar increase to Ontario's beer tax for the next 2 years. Beer Canada calls it a win-win.
The consumer is really feeling tapped out, and so this frees up $33 million in what would have been additional taxes that won't be imposed on Canadians.
Restaurants Canada is applauding the move, saying this will help them cope with inflation and ongoing challenges from the pandemic. And the Canadian Taxpayers Federation says while this does provide some relief, the government shouldn't be raising alcohol taxes at all. Anam Khan, CBC News, Toronto.
The summer festival scene could look a lot different this year. Just this week, one major event was canceled, and as Lane Harrison shows us, another one is now warning it too is in danger.
Comedian Rush Kazi took the stage at last year's Just for Laughs in Toronto, but the popular festival is cancelled in 2024.
It's a big loss for this year. Hopefully this is only a one-year pause instead of a complete cancellation.
The parent company says they filed for creditor protection, but it's hopeful the festival will be back in 2025. Kazi says losing the festival means comics miss out on exposure.
It gives comedians a chance to be seen by a wider audience that you might not have been able to see them, right? Because it has a built-in audience of like normal people who want to come and check out shows.
I have what my shrink calls anxiety.
Just for Laughs isn't the only festival at risk in Toronto. Hot Docs, the documentary festival that attracts talent from around the world, is also warning it's on shaky ground. The not-for-profit told us in a statement it's, quote, running out of runway and urgently needs funding. The festival will still go ahead next month, but its future is uncertain.
What people might not understand is like Hot Docs is kind of home for us as documentary filmmakers from Canada. And it's really part of our storytelling fiber.
Documentarian Phyllis Ellis screened her 2022 film, category Women, at the festival. She says there's lots at stake if Hot Docs runs out of money.
Constantly people are asking, what is Canadian culture? Well, if we don't support what Canadian culture is, and as I said, storytelling and documentary filmmaking is an inextricable part of our culture.
In a recent newsletter, Hot Docs says they're appealing to audiences as well as all levels of government for support. Lane Harrison, CBC News, Toronto.
And another longtime festival says it is facing serious financial strains. The Shaw Festival in Niagara-on-the-Lake, it's facing a $5.5 million deficit, despite the festival earning their best operating income year in their history just last year. Massive cost increases related to COVID, tourism, and site maintenance is forcing organizers to make significant cuts this year.
So all of those things escalated our costs to about $42 million, and our income was about $37 million. So really, even though it was a very good year on many levels, it just wasn't the kind of year we would expect. And of course, last year, everybody sort of talked about things returning to normal. But the live arts industry, as I think many people know, was the second most affected area of the economy by GDP. And so it's not really back yet.
So despite the news, he says they are optimistic things will return closer to normal later this year. A reminder for you tonight that it's that time of year again. Daylight saving time will kick into effect tonight. Now, this comes during the start of Ramadan, and we spoke to a psychiatrist with some tips on how to adjust if you're celebrating.
Getting exposure to sunlight during the day can help regulate our circadian rhythms and promote better sleep at night. So one is try to get out during the day if you can. Another tip I would say is that be cautious about your caffeine intake. As a big coffee drinker myself, that is one of the most challenging parts of Ramadan. And so whether you're fasting or not, just being cognizant of when that last coffee or tea of the day is.
A petition to end daylight saving time changes was started more than 5 years ago and has gotten nearly 75,000 signatures. We spoke to the Brampton woman who launched the petition and makes the case to ditch the switch.
I realize how many people have similar feelings about changing the clocks as I do. It is a hassle, but also it does seem to impact, I've noticed, my health, especially right after the spring change. So I'm not looking forward to changing the clocks tonight and having to deal with it for the next few days. It's a bit of jet lag, I find.
Regardless how you feel about daylight saving time, clocks will be springing forward at 2 a.m. So make sure to adjust those clocks accordingly if they don't automatically update. Sophia is back with us now after an epic adventure with the family. You know, the clock switch, if you have little kids, it's a tough one.
Yeah, we will all be groggy for the next few days. I have not been taking my own advice and starting earlier bedtimes.
Me neither.
But hey, we will get extra daylight hours when it comes to sunshine for the next few days, and you're gonna like all the sunshine in this upcoming work week. We will also be above seasonal this upcoming week. We were a bit above seasonal today, but it came with about 10 to 15 millimeters of rainfall. That rain is currently in parts of eastern Ontario. You also saw about 10 to 15 centimeters of snow up north of Sudbury to the Timmins area. And then for Sunday, everybody is in this northwest flow, Shannon, and what this is going to mean is yet again the same pattern we've been seeing all cold weather winter season of the lake effect snow machine revving back up another 5 to 10 centimeters for those of you in the traditional snowbelt regions, and you'll see a brief switch over to snow for the first half of the day in the nation's capital region. So all of this snow will not be sticking around long. Stay tuned in the long range. You are going to, well, love the mid-teens I have in store for you for March break for many, that is, unless you're a skier and you're hoping to hit the slopes.
Sounds lovely. Thanks so much, Sophia. We'll see you shortly. And you're looking live this hour, despite, you know, some of the gloomy weather we had today. Lots of people out celebrating at Nathan Phillips Square. Looks lovely right now. People are honoring Toronto's birthday, 190 years since incorporation. There have been performances all day. There's lots of vendors and tons of food. Earlier, we spoke to an organizer about her hopes for the day.
Come out, you get to learn a lot about the city in one place. You get to meet so many entertainers and artists and small businesses. You get to have a taste of the city, small taste of the city in one afternoon. So it's just a good way to come out and connect.
This is the 10th edition of the Celebrate Toronto Festival. The fun goes until 10 o'clock tonight. Spectacular! Toronto FC kicking off their home opener in spectacular fashion this afternoon, as you saw right there, midfielder Lorenzo Insigne scoring in the 79th minute of the match. TFC took down Charlotte FC to the tune of 1-0. Well, next up for the Reds, they'll be taking on New York City FC in the Bronx next Saturday. A Toronto area nonprofit is celebrating International Women's Day by launching a new initiative aimed at getting more Black women elected to city councils right across Canada. They were kicking things off today at Toronto City Hall.
No matter what you end up doing, whether you're running for office, whether you're supporting councillors, supporting elected folks, or supporting people that want to be elected, you are contributing. So keep learning, keep growing, keep encouraging each other, because we need you. We need your voice. We need your passion.
Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow taking part. Operation Black Vote Canada was established in 2004 and supports the election of Black Canadians to public office. The initiative is called the Seat at the Table Toolkit and is designed to offer guidance to Black women who are navigating the challenges of running for office. Here's a question. What's the bigger battle in Toronto, finding parking or finding affordable housing? Well, a battle could be brewing, as a new pitch from Toronto City staff could see dozens of parking lots potentially converted to housing. City Hall reporter Sean Jeffords lays it all out for us.
The fight to find a parking space in some places in Toronto can be fierce. But so too can the struggle to find an affordable place to live. And City Council is considering placing the need for new housing ahead of access to surface parking lots. Mayor Olivia Chow says it just makes sense given the enormity of the housing crisis.
It drives me nuts. I go around the city and I see a surface parking lot that belongs to the city. I say, pardon me, in this day and age, how could we have a surface parking lot? Come on, we can build housing on it because it's right beside a transit corridor, beside a subway station, beside LRT station. Let's build it up.
But Chow is the first to admit this isn't a new idea. This busy lot on Bellevue is already set for conversion. And in a new report, city staff want to examine around 130 lots to see if they're the right fit. They say 74 of them could help create housing close to transit. But even the chair of the TTC board says council will need to find a middle ground.
As much as it breaks my heart to say this, it's just for a lot of people, transit is just not a viable option, particularly in certain parts of the city when you get more into the inner suburbs. So we have to strike that balance in terms of, obviously housing is a priority, but we also need to understand that people need to park.
This housing advocate says conversions often get stuck as neighbors fight to keep the lots.
In most cases, the city needs to ignore the neighbors. We have spent decades in this city following the preferences of local neighborhood associations and residents groups, and part of the reason why we have the affordable housing challenges we have is because of that incumbent bias within the system. These parking lots are being given away sometimes for $9 to park for 24 hours. That's a wasteful use of lazy land in the city of Toronto, where we have a housing crisis.
This expert says he hopes the housing crisis changes council's view of parking lot conversions.
If this report helps re-energize that effort in the name now of affordability, and if the city takes more of a direct role instead of just trying to sell those properties off, I think that is really a step in the right direction.
City council must approve the plan later this month. If that happens, city staff will do an in-depth analysis of the lots to ensure they're eligible. Sean Jeffords, CBC News, Toronto.
Welcome back. It is a big weekend for movie lovers as this year's Best in Film is being celebrated at the Academy Awards. Our Eli Glasner is there in Hollywood, and he joins us now from the red carpet.
This is the beautiful red carpet calm before that hurricane of celebrities. This is, of course, the red carpet built on Hollywood Boulevard, where the Oscar red carpets and everyone will promenade down tomorrow. Let me show you, because you may remember last year, we went champagne. We had kind of a sand-colored carpet. Look at fresh carpet. They actually unwrapped it last night. They cover it with plastic. And so happy to say the red is back. We have gone red. So this is the beautiful red carpet. I want to show you an interesting development this year. So over here, these little bleachers, this is where the media stand and sit during the red carpet. But you see the shrubs. So this is something new, because it's always a challenge, shall we say, to keep the journalists separate from the talent on the carpet. And usually it's kind of a velvet rope, sort of almost holding us in place. So this year they've actually created, these are actually real. So they brought in all this shrubbery, which cannot be removed. And so we'll be just kind of hanging on the hedge, trying to get the attention of Ryan Gosling and Bradley Cooper and Margot Robbie and Lily Gladstone and all the rest. But yeah, this is our first view. You see Oscar over there behind me, and everything is ready to go. The stars will start at that end. They will promenade down, and then if we can just quickly swing over there, inside those curtains, that is the Dolby Theater, and that is where the show will begin.
Our newest Walk of Famer, Eugene Levy.
Yes, the comedy legend now has his own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The beloved actor, originally from Hamilton, has won multiple awards over his decades-long career. You know him from SCTV, the American Pie movie series, and of course, Schitt's Creek right here on CBC. He took some time to talk about the honor with Eli.
We've seen these ceremonies since I was a kid, to be honest. The thought of actually being in one of these things, standing on your own star, it just, I mean, I don't even have any words.
Some of his co-stars were there, including his daughter, Sarah Levy, and his longtime friend, Catherine O'Hara. Sophia
Cool.
joins us now. Yeah, so cool, right? Eli having the time of his life down there, shooting things on his phone. That's how eager that guy is.
He's doing great.
He's doing great, yeah. And the forecast, you know?
Yeah, it's cool as well when we're talking about the chance of more lake effect snow squalls and heavy snow up into the north. Look at the slew of weather alerts we have right now. This is for the significant rain coming for those of you as we speak right now in the nation's capital region. Frozen ground, inability to absorb all of that rainfall. Could see some localized pooling or ponding. Heavy snow to the north and snow squalls expected for tomorrow with reduced visibility. A little bit of everything in the kitchen sink. Chilly for your Sunday. We're hovering around the freezing mark for your morning and your afternoon, along with some flakes that could come dangerously close to the GTA. 5 to 10 centimeters for many of you in the traditional snow belt regions, and you will have that change over to snow in parts of the nation's capital region, along with the bulk of this that's already come for those of you in parts of northern Ontario. Cold winds into Sunday, but then a real big change is afoot for midweek. Watch this ridge form, and we are talking about a multi-day stint in the mid-teens. Could be breaking warmth. Now, this is spring break for many across the region, and we are talking about the potential not only for 15, 16s, not good for those of you around the ski hills, but maybe even an elusive 20. Great hours of daylight ahead for the early part of the week, but yeah, not great for all the skiers.
Totally. We'll take the sunshine, though. Thanks,
yeah,
Sophia.
patio weather and golf weather.
Yes, we'll take it. Thanks. Oh, finally tonight bringing you this positive story. I love the bark there. Okay, these are therapy dogs. They had a chance to walk across the stage at Carleton University this past week, each of them and their handler earning a certificate saluting all their hard work. They even got to wear a cap and gown. 17 therapy dogs take part in visits across the campus every weekday. The program is part of the wellness tools and services offered to students, and they are free. Now that is the story we didn't know we needed, but it's a wonderful way to end our newscast. Thanks so much for